Welcome to Oh My Mind, the podcast where we talk about mental health with heart, humor, and expert insights. Whether you're navigating anxiety, learning about therapy, or just need a space to feel seen, this podcast is for you. Join me along with mental health professionals and real-life voices as we dive into battles of the mind and how to overcome them. Before we begin, a gentle trigger warning. This episode contains personal discussions about anxiety attacks and panic attacks, as well as generalized anxiety disorder, which may be emotionally triggering for some listeners. If you're feeling vulnerable today, please take care of yourself. Pause, skip, or come back when you feel ready. Your well-being matters most. If anything in this episode brings up difficult feelings, please consider reaching out to a licensed mental health professional or a support service near you. Welcome to Oh My Mind, the podcast where we talk about mental health with heart, humor, and expert insights. Whether you're navigating your own mental health struggles, you'd like to learn about therapy, or you just need a safe space where you feel seen or heard, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Vanessa Kaniaru, or Wanjiko Kaniaru on all social media platforms. So, let's take it back to January 11th, 2019. It's a Friday, a very beautiful day, very bright, and there's this girl, so full of life. I mean, the year has just started, and, the hype, new year, new me, this is going to be my year. She's just about to embark on her first solo big project, and so there's some excitement, but the previous year has been a bit stressful. Nonetheless, she's found a way to power through it. Just you know how we go about life, right? So yeah, this is Friday. We're going on our out of town work trip. You meet with your colleagues at the meetup point in CBD, and it's actually next to Givenchy Gardens, and buy some shawarmas from Big Knife. It's a good day basically, and then you start your journey. Guys are hype for some reason. Remember, these are not her friends and not necessarily her colleagues, but just people that she's acquainted with. Anyway, they start the journey. It's around 2 p.m. and they're now heading down to Nakuru from Nairobi, and she settled into her position where she's seated in the vehicle. She's seated right behind the driver, and pulls out her phone, pulls out an ebook, and starts reading. The book is actually Becoming by Michelle Obama. It had just been released 2 months prior. Anyway, so the journey starts, and then start realizing these words that you're reading on this book are really not making sense. You're reading, but you're not able to internalize what you're actually reading. Maybe you're just tired. You look out the window. It's now 2:20 p.m. and you see, you're in Limuru now. You can see a random blue gate. There's a random milk shop somewhere. You can see some women with their kyondos. You can see the luscious green grass, the red soil. You know how Limuru is like, right? People are just going about their day. And then now she looks back, and her breathing is funny. She can't breathe very well, and this feels strange. Tries to open the window, but she feels quite weak. And then the feeling like the air is closing in on you is getting more and more intense. And so she goes back to her phone and decides to text her friend just to say something is happening. And that's what she manages to text. Just saying something is happening to me. I don't understand, and the rest is gibberish. This girl, again now, feels like the breathing is getting worse. She actually now can't breathe. She can barely move. She tries to signal the person who's seated next to her. There's a space in between them. But as you said, she can barely move. I think the most she's able to do is like lift a finger. And it's now getting scary. It's getting scary. Like, what is happening to this babe? And tears start rolling. She's crying, but it's like she's sobbing internally, so no one can actually really see what's happening. In fact, the people around her, I think she's asleep. And while this is happening and it's even getting more scary, she starts feeling like she's going to die. But she's wondering where these irrational thoughts of dying have come from. But yeah, that's what she feels like. She's going to die. Starts thinking, how am I going to die before my grandma? I'm too young to die. And some of the things she starts saying is, God, if I'm the one who's supposed to die today, let me be the only one to die, and not, let me not be the reason why everyone else in this vehicle dies. She can actually hear loud screams in her head. It's like, and she's trying to figure, is she the one who's screaming? Is someone else? It's just like what did you used to say, pandemonium of events happening. And this happens for a while until she passes out. But it looks again like she's sleeping because her head rests on the window. This girl is me. And this was my first experience with a panic attack. I had never experienced a panic attack before. I didn't really know what a panic attack was. I just used to hear the word being thrown around. But that was my first experience with a panic attack. So, back to what's happening in the vehicle. She looks like she's passed out. I mean, she's asleep, sorry. So they assume that she's passed out. And the next time she wakes up, and let me not say now she, because now you know who it is. So the next time I wake up, we're in Naivasha, which is like an hour and a half since the journey started. And now I'm able to wake up. I'm a bit aware of my surroundings at this moment, but I'm still weak. I still can't move. And guys have alighted. And let me also alight because it's a stopover before we continue with the rest of the journey. And when I try to lift myself, I'm feeling very, very, very nauseous. I just threw up on myself. And I was like, oh snap, I need to get this cleaned. So I've gathered a bit of strength. So I'm trying to move out of the vehicle, of the van, and I pass out again. And at this point, or rather before I passed out, I remember hearing someone saying, oh, we forgot Vanessa. Let me go call her in case she also wants to get something. And so luckily, that's the moment now. They came back when I had just passed out again. And then now the next thing I remember was waking up in hospital. I was sedated for some time, a couple of hours. And then I woke up now when I'm finally starting to come to. I cried, my Lord. I cried. At this point, I'm still not understanding what's happening, but I'm crying. Like, I just feel heavy. I just feel, I think, exhausted. I'm still very scared. So as I'm crying, again, I still can't really move around. I'm still quite weak, but I can hear what's happening around me. And I could hear the doctors asking the people that I was with, do you know if she was stressed? Is she like going through a stressful period? But these people don't know. As I said, they're acquaintances, so they don't really know what's happening to me. And they're also very scared because this is a very peculiar situation. And then now, eventually now when I came to, and now I've come to my senses, I think even, what I'd been put on, like the medication has worn off. Now I start talking to the doctors and they say, yeah, you had like a very intense panic attack. It's normal. Are you going through stress? Is this a stressful period? and then, recommended that I should see a psychiatrist. But I'm still so scared. It's like, what has just happened? That was the most bizarre experience of my life. I've never heard of such a thing. And I remember leaving that hospital and I called my father, but I didn't even know what to tell him had happened. I was just crying. I was just like, something happened, it's crazy. But we had a bit of a chat there. He encouraged me, but he encouraged me to continue with the journey and just continue with work. And that's what I did. Also because I'm a fighter, and that's how I had been conditioned then. And I proceeded with the work trip, with everything. I was still feeling very weak, but I managed to finish what I was supposed to do, and I came back. And I remember now when I came back, I texted my friends. We have this group chat, and the friend that I had texted previously saying something is happening is also part of this chat. So even her, she's like quite scared because she doesn't know what exactly had happened to me other than me telling them something is happening. And so I texted my friends and I told them what happened, and they sent me like encouraging messages and stuff. And I think I went back to work immediately, like when I came back, because it was over a weekend. Friday, then I went back to work. Then now we met as friends now the next weekend. And now we start talking, and now we go like deep into, I'm now explaining my experience and stuff. And now they're like, yeah, that was definitely a panic attack. I'm so sorry, babe, blah, blah, blah. But as we're talking is when some of them start sharing that they have also experienced such things. Maybe not to that extent, but they've also experienced like anxiety attacks. One of them even recommends a psychiatrist that I should see. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Okay. How did I not know that you guys have been, going through this? And it's like everyone was revealing this for the first time. So guys have actually been going through these silent battles. People are under medication, but we have no idea because we don't talk to each other about such things. And so they recommended the psychiatrist that I should see. And that's what I did. I went to a psychiatrist and I was put on medication. And that's when I realized, or rather, that's when I was diagnosed with Generalized Anxiety Disorder. And while we were unpacking the happenings of that day, and around that day, previously, like the couple of days before that, and even after, is when I realized this was not a new thing. As much as it was sudden on that day, it was not really a new thing. I had really been under stress and under pressure. I knew something was wrong. For sure. I even remember after coming from the Christmas holidays, I'd gone to the coast with my siblings, and my friend was telling me, oh, I hope you're now well rested. I hope this was a good break. And I told her, yeah, I've not been working the last couple of days, but I don't feel rested at all. I feel like something is wrong. Something is wrong, but I can't tell you what. I just feel off. Nasikia sijui aje. That's what I could say then, or that's the vocabulary I had then, because I couldn't really explain what was happening. Not knowing that the immense stress that I had been under for a couple of months was now catching up with me. And I think this anxiety attack was now a way of my body telling me, you need to actually stop. You need to slow down, and you need to listen, and you need to work on this before this takes you out. And so now I realized how intense it was when now I was put on medication. And I thought it was something that I would take, like I would just take the meds and then I'll be fine, right? Remember, as I said, I was still feeling weak and I was still feeling a bit off. But what these meds did, it's like they intensified that feeling that I was having in that period. So for a couple of days or weeks, I actually felt much worse, much worse before I started feeling better. And to be honest, for a couple of days and weeks, I was actually on zombie mode. That's the best way to explain it. On zombie mode. And I was just trying to survive. At this point now, I'm on survival mode. I'm just trying to get to the next day. Back home, people are confused. This has never happened in my family, so no one knows, what to do. It's just my dad and my siblings and I, and we are all now just trying to figure out what's happening. I'm not functioning as I used to, like let's say at 100% capacity. So now they're trying to hold the fort for me, and this is also feeling a bit weird for me because, as you may know, I am the firstborn and I am used to being hands-on, being the mother of the house, as they call it. So this is feeling very strange. I feel it's like I'm feeling incapable. I feel I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. At work, of course, I'm not functioning at 100% capacity as well. So there's the feeling of, I am underperforming. And so I'm also now trying to put pressure on myself to make up for this situation. And this is when now I actually now start being aware of what mental health really is. I know it might sound ignorant, but I had actually never experienced it firsthand before then. So there might have been some ignorance, or I just didn't know. So I started educating myself. What was this? Why a panic attack? What happened? How did I get here? What were those feelings I was feeling on that day? And I started talking to my friends like, hey, okay, you've been going through this silent battle by yourself. How is it like for you? How long have you been going through this? What do you do? And I am very, to be honest, I'm also still very, very scared because at the back of my mind, I remember that day. I'm remembering that Friday afternoon and just how scary that was. And I don't want to go back there because I keep feeling like it's going to happen again and I just don't know when it's going to happen. So for a couple of months, it was like an extremely intense period for me. But I worked around it, emerged on the other side. I think I'd say maybe got back to my feet. I started understanding exactly now what these things are. What is anxiety? What is generalized anxiety disorder? It sounds like a very big word, very mouthful. I've gotten used to the medication, and then now at some point, even the dosage is being reduced, because I'm being weaned off slowly. And yeah, I can now say now I'm almost back on my feet. That was not, I'd say now, like my first intense experience. I have had other experiences between now and then. Not as intense as the first one, not as scary, but still not so great. But at least this time, I now knew, first of all, what was happening, and I'm now starting to learn how to navigate this. I'm now starting to learn how to, or what to do when I'm in this situation. And I also had to do quite a lot of, what do they call it? Soul searching. That's what they call it. Yeah, I think I'd say soul searching. I had to do a bit of that, or just reflecting, just to start seeing like exactly when did this start? Like how did I get here? And as I said, there were just so many things happening in my life at that moment, in all spheres, including like family-wise, with extended family and such. So I started thinking, what can I do to eliminate this stress? Like, what is within my power? then. And it was a bit hard to let go of quite a number of things. But this is actually the first time when I started cutting people off. I had never done that. In fact, I used to say, like, I've never even blocked anyone on my phone. But that's the time when I had to start doing that, because now I realized the people and the situations that were making things more intense. I had a bit of a tiff, or with some relatives. At that time, I want to say, I don't say they were treating me badly, but that's, loosely, I'd say that. But this is a relationship that I was really holding on to, because these are my mom's siblings, and I was holding on to them because my mom had passed on, and so they were like the reminder of, like that mother figure, and just like a reminder of your mom, and you want to hold on to that. But I realized that this relationship was doing more harm than good, and it was one of the big contributors to my to the stressful situation at that time. There was also, of course, other things that were happening in parallel. Black tax. Yeah, there was also again, like a very stressful work situation happening around the same time. So there were a lot of things, and they were all happening at the same time, and I didn't know how to handle, and I didn't know how to let go. I didn't know how to cope. So I was just internalizing everything and not dealing with them, and I think that's what led to that intense breakdown then. And so I started trying to let go of a few things, and one of them was now cutting people off, just re-strategizing my boundaries when it came to work, my approach to work, and stress, seeing what I can take and what I can't. Also had to set some boundaries at home as well. At home, I mean now with my siblings and my dad, just to try and ease some things. Of course, it did not happen overnight. It was also a very painful, very, very painful situation. But I mean, I learned how to work around it. Still learning how to work around it, actually. But so I had to create boundaries, as I said, even with my immediate family. And it was tough, I won't lie. But I mean, I have still had like other experiences between now and then, because as it was diagnosed, it is a disorder. So I don't think it like really goes away. But of course, I've learned how to manage it. But some of the key things that I'd say is like, or some of the key feelings rather that I have felt, especially in that period and even sometime after. At first, I felt like, to some extent, my life stagnated because of the heavy effects of the medication at first, and just also coming to terms with what's actually happening. I really do feel like my life stagnated for a while. And there was also the feeling of being misunderstood. Because now sometimes you're like in a situation or in a place, and first of all, like, why are you taking medication? Anxiety too. Unameza dawa juu ya, anxiety, and then it feels like you're weak. It feels like you're weak. So some people around you just not understanding. And then it was scary. It was also very scary because you're not sure if this is going to happen again and when it's going to happen again. So it's like you're always alert. It also felt very alone, as much as my friends were there for me, and I was able to talk about it with my friends, and we would share a lot. I still felt very alone. But again, all these things were in my head or in my mind, really. And those are some of the things that I remember feeling in that period. But I've also had other episodes of such in the last couple of years. But let me tell you about some of the crazy things that I heard or I was told. One of the people that I had to, I don't say confide in, but they had to be aware of the situation. I remember one of them telling me, oh my God, they told me to, you should go for deliverance. Have you ever thought about going for deliverance? And I remember looking at this lady and looking at her, I'm like, first of all, you're the one I need deliverance from because you're one of the contributors to this situation. So, what do you mean I should go for deliverance? But please don't get me wrong. I'm a believer, I'm Pentecostal and all that. So, yeah, I know what deliverance is. But what do you mean I should go for deliverance? But anyway, yeah, I have never forgotten that statement. I remember exactly where we were standing and all that. Something else that I've been told, and I was told a number of times, whenever I have or whenever I feel like I'm having like an anxiety attack, was that you're faking it. I'm like, you think I would want to like actually experience this? So I'd do this intentionally? So like, why would you tell me I'm faking it? Or do you think I'm in control of it? And another person, and this was actually someone I was seeing, there was a time I was trying to explain to them, I'm feeling nasikia sijui aje. Now this was when you're, I think also what I've learned with anxiety is you can almost, you can't tell like when a panic attack is going to happen because it's very sudden, but with anxiety, you can feel it even for days. So you feel just very off. So I was trying to explain to them why I couldn't do something. And they'll, I've explained and I've spoken from my heart and and I was like, I hope you've understood. And they're like, yeah, I've understood. And I'm like, what have you understood? They're like, see, it's just your mood swings. So I'm like, oh, I have explained this whole situation just for you to reduce it to mood swings. But anyway, needless to say, I broke it off, like, yeah, almost immediately. But anyway, so these are some of the things that I've been told a number of times. There's another situation where I remember I was also trying to disclose to someone. I was just explaining to them what the situation was then. And they told me, everyone goes through things. In fact, everyone around you is going through a lot. And I understood, like, I got what they were saying, and I could tell, like, where it was coming from. But what I felt in that moment is that they were dismissing it as me just not, pardon my French, getting my shit together. So it felt, yeah, it was like almost just being dismissed. It's like, yeah, you're not the only one. It's like people are going through shit. But what I was just trying to do is I was just trying to explain the situation at that time. So there's always, people telling you things. And of course, everyone has advice on what you should do, how you should go about it, how you should approach it. And again, I know it's also coming from a really good place, but it would also be good if it came from an informed place. And I think it also just goes to say, as much as I think we're now talking about mental health a bit more, there's more awareness, there's less stigma, there's still quite a lot of misinformation and insensitivity in how we approach some things. And maybe we could just learn a bit more on that end. But anyway, again, when I reflect on this journey, literally a journey, but anyway, this experience or my experience with anxiety since then, I look back and I think maybe there's some things that I could have done differently, or some things that I wish I knew then. And I usually think like, could I have done some things differently, especially when I was in that like intense period before the panic attack? Are there something that I could have done differently, maybe to have stopped that? Maybe if I knew. And maybe some of the things that I wish I knew, and I know I can't go back and change the past, but I can shape how I approach things in the future, right? So what I wish I knew then and what I'm also now doing differently now are like knowing when to stop. Knowing when to stop when it comes to how much how much hard work you're putting into something. It's good when you want to see results, but it's also good to listen to your body. It's good to know when to take breaks. So just learning to know like when to stop and how much far that I can push myself. I'm learning that. Boundaries, I've talked about boundaries. I have had to put those up. It is hard. It is very, very hard to put boundaries. But I've had to learn how to put boundaries. When especially with people, I'd say, who you feel like don't respect some of your situations or don't respect you to some extent, or all they know how to do is take from you. And if maybe you are a people pleaser or you just don't know how to say no, boundaries have had to be quite important. And the most important thing though I have learned is just, oh my God, listen to your body. Like, just listen to your body. You will know when something is wrong. As I said, when I look back, around that period, I knew something was wrong. I even said, I told my friend, there's something wrong. I just don't know what it is. But I didn't listen to it. I just went on about my business and continued like exacting the pressure and stuff. So like, just learn to listen to your body. You will know when something is off, and you will probably know how to go about it. So now I know when to listen to my body. I know when to slow down. I'm not saying I'm perfect or like I practice it every day or I practice it well, but I'm learning. I'm learning how to listen to my body. And the other thing is talk. Just talk to your people, talk to your friends. If I had shared how I was feeling like something is off, I would have, maybe known that this was what I was going through, and probably I would have sought help prior. I would have known that my friends are also experiencing such things. I would have known that this is actually something that's, I don't say common, but a bit common then, in that circle. I would have known that I'm not alone. And I would have known where to seek help. So just like learn how to talk. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Coming from me who keeps things to myself a lot, I know how hard it is. But I've just learned how, also like how beautiful it is when you get to share and when you get to talk and you're not alone and you get to help each other and you're like each other's support system. I'm not saying that they'll drop everything for you, but it eases the burden to some extent. So just learn how to talk to your close, maybe a friend. It doesn't have to be all of them, but you can find that person that you can speak to. Another thing that I have learned, or that I'm doing now that I wish I did then, is therapy. So I mentioned that after the panic attack, I started seeing a psychiatrist. And again, when I look back, is the mistake that I did then is I was only seeing a psychiatrist. So they were only treating me with the medication, but I was not really releasing what I was actually going through. So as much as, yes, I have the medication to regulate the, is it chemical or hormonal imbalances and such, I was not treating the actual problem. I was not treating the deep wounds. So I wish I knew about this then, but at least I'm doing it now. Therapy was not easy to start. It was not easy to start at all. In fact, I only started therapy after I had another incident. I had another episode, sort of. It was not as wild. It was not as intense. But at this point now, when I was seeing another doctor, in fact, it was even like a gynecologist, and I was seeing them, it was compounded with a lot of things. I was seeing them for the condition I have with endometriosis, which I will talk about later. But they realized that I was under immense stress. So actually, it was my gynecologist who booked for me my first therapy session. They were like, hey, we are down bad. That's how they just, so it was. Anyway, that's how I ended up doing therapy. And it was not easy. I really fought it. I really battled it. I stopped a couple of times. But eventually, when I got the hang of it, I'm now starting to see the fruits. I'm seeing how it helps. It really has a way of making you feel light. It has a way of, I don't want to say minimizing, but almost simplifying the problems or the situations that you're going through. It has a way of making you see the way out of situations where you didn't see a way out before. And so I would 100% recommend therapy. There are times when I have said, honestly, the only thing that's holding me together right now is Jesus and my therapist. Yeah, those are the only things that are holding me together. So I can really see the fruits. I can see how I'm able even to articulate what I'm feeling better. I'm able to navigate situations that I never thought I would be able to. So yeah, that has been my journey with anxiety. And as I said, the healing is definitely not linear. There are times when it gets a bit more intense. There are times when I'm able to navigate it. There are times when I wake up in a panic and I can't even explain why. There are times where, a number of times, even when I'm like, let's say in social gatherings, where I have to excuse myself because I'm in the middle of an anxiety attack and you don't want to look like a party pooper. And you just, trying to see how to navigate that. There are times when you can't leave bed for days. You just can't. The strength is not there. You're trembling, you're shaking, you're scared, and you can't even put a finger to why you're scared. And then there are days when you're able to navigate it, and there are days you come out strong. And there are days where, like, you're here, I'm here. And you can't even tell that these are some of the things that happen sometimes behind the scenes. But what's important is that, I've learned how to navigate it, I've learned how to overcome it, and I've learned to sort of have a sense of normalcy. And I have had many anchors and people and things that I've put together. I said, of course, there are times when it's Jesus and my therapist who are holding me together, but I've also had a good support system, and I've also seen the beauty of having a support system. My family, my father had no idea what this was. But after my first episode, I would find him learning about it. I'd find him reading articles. He would send me articles. He wouldn't talk about it. Like, we will not really talk about it, but he'll come across something and give me to read. And I'd see like he's also trying to educate himself like on what's really happening, and trying to see like how he could be able to support me. My siblings as well, they've been able to support me. My friends, wow. God bless them. God bless my friends. I think I've had a very, very good support system when it comes to my friends, especially. And yeah, the importance of a support system, I cannot overemphasize that. And somehow, you learn that the sun does actually shine bright. It's not very gloomy after all. And you can finally feel like your head is above water. But again, most importantly is that you just have the tools to be able to navigate it. And even as I say, it's not linear. There are days when that are harder than the others. I have also learned how to be able to talk myself out of situations. And I want to leave you with this. It's sort of like a journal entry. I found I'd written it on my notes app. This was actually the 24th of October 2024, so it's fairly recent. And at that time I was like in the thick of it. But one day in the middle of like a very anxious episode, I was just reflecting, and this is what I wrote down, and this is what I want to leave you with, and hope that this will also help you. Why do I think that the circumstances that I'm dealing with are in my hands? Why do I think that it is up to me? And yes, I know I'm the one that will run around. I'm the one who has all these responsibilities. But I am not the one who makes a way. It's God who makes a way for me. And He's the one who always makes things possible. All I have to do is play my part and trust in Him. And so in that moment, I realized that what was wearing me was thinking that all these things were in my hands, all these things that are stressing me, thinking that maybe if I don't do ABCD, if I don't do something, in a particular way, if I'm not able to meet a certain expectation, then maybe things would crumble. But that was me putting all the power in me. That was actually me being proud to some extent and thinking that it was all up to me. I realized that the power only belongs to God, and He's the only one who makes a way. So He taught me how to play my part. I do my best, but I surrender, and He will guide every step of the path. He will lead me to what needs to be done. All I have to do is just trust in Him. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. That was my message to myself, and it's also my message to you if you're navigating anxiety or you're just stressed or anxious. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it has impacted you in one way or another. I hope you've learned something. And yes, thank you and welcome. Thank you for listening to Oh My Mind. I hope you will stay tuned for more episodes to learn more stories. So I beseech you to like, to share, and to subscribe on YouTube and on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you.